Welcome to The Explainer. So, just last month, the US launched what it's calling Operation Epic Fury against Iran. But here's the thing. What's actually happening on the ground? Well, that really depends on who you ask, because right now, we're being flooded with totally conflicting reports.
Okay, so let's start with the official US narrative, and it's one of, well, overwhelming and incredibly rapid success. I mean, listen to this quote. They're not just claiming a victory here, they're framing it as a historic one, something we've never seen before.
So let's break that down. We're going to start by looking at this U.S. Declaration of Victory and, the evidence they've actually presented to back up such a bold claim. Right at the core of the U.S. claim is the sheer speed of this whole operation. Officially, we're just 32 days into this thing. And to really put that number into perspective, take a look at this. When you compare just 32 days to some of America's longest wars, World War II was almost 4 years for the U.S. Vietnam was nearly 20. So by showing this, the U.S. is sending a really clear message, right? They're framing this operation as uniquely fast and incredibly efficient. And according to the U.S., the results are just as dramatic as the timeline. It's not just that it was fast. They're reporting that Iran's entire military capacity has been pretty much dismantled. We're talking Navy gone, Air Force in ruins. Their key strategic objectives are supposedly almost complete. But, and this is a big but, that's only one side of the story. Because international sources, they are painting a very different picture. And this right here really gets to the heart of the information war we're seeing. On one hand, the US is saying, hey, we're on track to complete all our objectives shortly. On the other hand, you have sources saying, nope, the war isn't ending. The real battle is going to go on for another month. So the big question is the war almost over or is it just getting started? And the disagreement goes even deeper. It's not just about the state of the war. It's about why it even started in the first place. The US has publicly stated its goal. I have vowed that I would never allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. But there's a counter-narrative that suggests this is really about economic interests, specifically Iran's huge reserves of oil, uranium, and those rare earth materials so crucial for all our tech. And then you've got this, a direct warning from Russia and China, two global heavyweights, telling Iran, don't fall for Trump's words. They're basically saying that any talk of a ceasefire from the US could be a trick, a big deception. This adds a whole new layer of distrust to the official US story. Okay, so this battle isn't just being fought with missiles and jets. There's a whole other front, the economic battlefield. And the effects of that are being felt thousands of miles away from the Middle East. The US, for its part, is pointing to its own economic muscle. We're talking over $18 trillion in investments. They're using that number as a sign of strength to show they're more than prepared to handle the financial side of this conflict. But here's the reality back home. Gas prices are on the rise, and it's not just hitting your wallet at the pump anymore. Major US companies are now becoming direct targets. And this is a really big deal. Iran has reportedly started targeting US multinational firms. And look at the target, Amazon Web Services. Hitting AWS isn't just symbolic. It's a direct strike against the digital backbone that runs so much of our world. Banking, payment systems, huge parts of the internet. This shows the war is absolutely expanding into the corporate and digital realms. So, as you can probably tell by now, this is no longer just a two-sided fight. Not at all. Other nations and some pretty powerful paramilitary groups are being drawn in, and what started as a regional conflict is quickly turning into a global chessboard. So, are there any efforts for peace? Well, yes, but it's complicated. You've got the US putting a 15-point ceasefire proposal on the table, passing it through Pakistan, but Iran is so distrustful that they're trying to pull in Russia and China to make sure the deal is for real. And then, at the very same time, you have Israel pushing for military strikes to continue, even while these talks are happening. It's a total mess. So what is the U.S. actually asking for in this ceasefire? Well, here are the key demands. We're talking a complete dismantling of Iran's nuclear program, an end to all uranium enrichment, stopping the funding of proxy groups. It's a really comprehensive list. The goal here seems to be to fundamentally change Iran's military and political power in the entire region. But Iran isn't just rolling over and accepting this. Not by a long shot. They've reportedly vowed to keep fighting until their own conditions are met. And what do they want? Financial compensation, war reparations, and, this is a huge one, recognition of their control over the super strategic Strait of Hormuz. And this really shows you how much of a global power play this has become. It's not just the US versus Iran anymore. You've got Russia allegedly feeding Iran drones and satellite intel. China is supposedly helping with air defense and radar. And on the other side, the UK and Israel are beefing up their military presence to support the US. Everyone is taking sides.
And the language being used here, the rhetoric, is getting seriously heated. You have Chechen forces who are fiercely loyal to Putin and have a reputation for being brutal fighters, declaring a jihad. They're saying they're ready to send troops to Iran if U.S. boots hit the ground. I mean, that would open up a whole new, incredibly brutal front in this conflict.
So where does that leave us? Well, we've got these completely conflicting reports of victory on one side and a long fight ahead on the other. We've got these super delicate negotiations happening while bombs are still potentially falling. And we've got more and more global powers getting dragged into the mix. It all brings us to the one crucial question. With all of this going on, what happens next?